Toronto police lay a first-degree murder charge in the fatal stabbing of a 14-year-old in Leslieville. The suspect, only 16 years old. We check in with our crime analyst in just moments.
Caught on camera, a motorcycle spotted going over 200 kilometers an hour while weaving in and out of traffic on highways in York region. We have more of this wild video straight ahead.
And 2 Orange Air ambulances serving Toronto are temporarily out of service, and it may have something to do with the trade war. We'll explain.
And Metrolinx is apologizing after AI was used to respond to a frustrated transit rider. This is after Monday's Coldplay concert. We have more on the backlash.
You're watching Live at 5.
Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage.
And I'm Lena Latafat. Thanks for joining us and welcome to Live at 5. Our top story: an arrest has been made in the fatal stabbing of a 14-year-old boy at a McDonald's at Coxwell and Eastern. The suspect, also a minor.
The 16-year-old now faces a first-degree murder charge. Let's check in with CP24's crime analyst, Steve Ryan, with more on this. Okay, so Steve, we just found out about this today, but when did the suspect actually go to police?
So according to the Toronto Police, the 16-year-old surrendered to a local police station here in the city on July the 7th. So that was just 48 hours after the city's 19th homicide. So it was some very good work by Toronto's homicide squad to identify and have a suspect in custody just 2 days after this very tragic event. So please tell us that on July the 5th at this location here near the McDonald's on Eastern Avenue, a 14-year-old boy was stabbed. Police were called to the scene. This young man succumbed to his injuries, and the police are actively looking for a suspect. What we heard today we're showing you his picture right now, this 14-year-old. Today, through a press release, we heard from the Toronto Police that they now have a 16-year-old in custody. That 16-year-old surrendered on July the 7th and is now facing 1 count of first-degree murder. Now, first-degree murder is typically separated from second-degree murder through planning and deliberation. So if the police have some evidence to believe that this was, in fact, a planned and deliberate event, this is why you've got the first-degree murder charge laid. Now, with regards to the relationship between the deceased and the 16-year-old accused, we do not know what that relationship is at this point in time, nor do we know whether or not this was a random attack or if it was isolated or targeted. So this is all part of the investigation. The police are still looking for witnesses. Guys, they do believe that there were hundreds of people at this location in the area here on July the 5th. So they are certainly encouraging people still to come forward if they have information that will help with this investigation. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Steve Ryan reporting live from Leslieville this hour. Steve, thanks so much. A warning now to viewers about this next story. The details are disturbing. A 17-year-old boy has been arrested and charged with attempted murder and sexual assault with a weapon after an 8-year-old girl was attacked in Eastern Ontario 2 weeks ago.
OPP say that the charges are tied to a missing child report June 23rd in Quadville. The girl was found early the next day with what paramedics are calling life-threatening traumatic injuries. Investigators initially thought her injuries might have been from an animal attack.
And Bill Dixon is the media relations coordinator for the OPP East region. He described the girl's injuries as horrific.
Due to the nature of the injuries, we brought in some experts on animal injuries, that type of thing, forensic pathologists, to look at these injuries. There was a very strong thought that this had been caused by some kind of animal. What kind? We couldn't even speculate on. But we were strongly leaning towards that the source of the injuries was some kind of animal. But investigators can't pigeonhole or just totally tunnel vision an investigation. They have to look at all other aspects. So the investigation continued in many ways. One of them resulted in this 17-year-old being arrested.
Well, the child was taken to a children's hospital in Ottawa. That's where she was listed in serious but stable condition. That's as of last week.
Well, investigators have released photos of 2 suspect vehicles in a murder in Mississauga.
Police are trying to identify the people who were in these vehicles. One believed to be a black 2024 Ford F-150 Power Boost hybrid pickup truck with a trim package. The second, a black 2021 to 2025 GMC Yukon, or Suburban. So anyone who recognizes these vehicles, you are asked to come forward.
And police believe the vehicles are connected to the fatal shooting of 24-year-old Gurvinder Singh in January. Singh was found with gunshot wounds after he crashed into a pole near Dixie and Dairy Roads. At the time, police said that he was shot about 2 kilometers away near an industrial plaza near Midway Boulevard and Invader Crescent.
Well, Bill, police say that a 5-time repeat offender is facing impaired driving charges again, this time after a 4-vehicle collision in Brampton. This was last weekend.
Yeah, it happened at Highway 50 and Coleraine Drive. 3 people taken to hospital while a 21-year-old remains in critical condition. Police say he is likely to have long-term life-altering injuries. 58-year-old Goshal Kasiram of Mississauga was also on 3 separate lifetime driving prohibitions at the time of the crash.
What we learned in the moments leading up to the crash was that actually motorists driving on Highway 27 had called in to York Regional Police to report that white commercial vehicle you see on its side right now was driving erratically and possibly impaired. Well, sure enough, those folks were correct. He exited off onto a major Mac and ended up in that multi-vehicle collision at the T-junction there, sending one person to the hospital fighting for his life. He's recovering now, but was significantly impacted and very fortunate that he survived.
And police say that Kashuram has been released on bail again on conditions not to drive.
Well, shocking video released by York Police showing an extreme speeder on GTA highways. Take a look.
Speed's in the area of 170 right now. Based on the driving and how he's passing vehicles, we've got grounds for dangerous, I believe.
Okay, so what you're looking at, a York police helicopter capturing what investigators say is a motorcyclist clocked going over 200 kilometers an hour. This is on Highway 404 at Bloomington Road and on Highway 407. The driver can be seen splitting lanes of traffic and also running a red light. Police say that the driver eventually left the bike at a business in Mississauga and then took a rideshare vehicle to a home in Richmond Hill, but that's where an arrest was made. 37-year-old Amir Hassan Monfarid is charged with dangerous operations, stunt driving, and driving without insurance.
Well, the 2 Orange Air ambulances serving the city are temporarily out of service this weekend.
Okay, let's go live to CP24, Sija Liu near Billy Bishop Airport. Sija.
Bakari, Lena, there's going to be a critical gap in Toronto's air ambulance service this weekend. Both of Orange's air ambulance that operate in Toronto are out of service this weekend. One is down until Sunday. The other one can't fly out until next Friday. Now, these choppers are vital when it comes to transporting patients in critical situations to the hospital and also in between hospitals as well. But now they are down because of maintenance delays. And the reason for this is a domino effect of global issues. A source tells CTV News Toronto the aircrafts are sidelined because of maintenance delays driven in part by U.S. tariffs and the war in Ukraine. In a letter to staff, Orange's chief aviation officer explained the service they have been dealing with unusually high demand for maintenance across its fleet of AW139 helicopters. These are the 12 Orange Air ambulance helicopters. And it says that global supply chain issues have made things worse, causing significant delays in getting the parts that are needed to keep these aircrafts flying. And the manufacturers, they're blaming disruptions on raw material shortages tied to the trade war and the war in Ukraine. And now that's led to longer repair times and more wear and tear on the aircrafts that are in rotation. And earlier today, CTV News spoke to aviation expert Phil Durday, who says maintenance is normally planned months in advance, but with these parts backlogged, everything slows down.
The Orange fleet of AW139 helicopters, it's only 12 strong. So when you do take one out of the equation, it does have an impact on the rest of the fleet. There are 7 bases that are serviced by the helicopters, so they have to backfill the position of that helicopters from other bases, which are local bases. So for Toronto, they'd use Sudbury or Ottawa. So the AW139 does require a more frequent maintenance schedule than a fixed-wing airplane, for instance. So there's always 1 aircraft in maintenance or 2 aircraft in maintenance. So with only a fleet of 12, it does have quite a substantial effect.
We reached out to Orange for a statement. We'll read you part of it. It says Orange will activate the contingency plans in our deployment plan. This involves dispatching helicopters from other bases supported by additional Orange Land ambulance resources in Toronto. We remain in regular contact with our helicopter manufacturer to ensure parts are delivered in a timely fashion as possible to mitigate any delays. An Orange ambulance, they transport about 20,000 patients every year, over 1,000 patients already so far this year, and with 12 helicopters in total, 2 down for this weekend, there will be a gap in that service. Lena, Bakari?
Okay, CP24, Sija, thank you. It's 5:10, 27 degrees. This is Live at 5.
And we are live along Bathurst tonight, where a plan for dedicated transit lanes could be scaled back, and there's been a lot of reaction to this proposed plan. We'll check in with Melissa Duggan next. Welcome back. City staff are recommending a plan for dedicated transit lanes on Bathurst and Dufferin streets be scaled back, and there's been a lot of reaction to this.
Well, let's go live to CP24's Melissa Duggan, who's been covering this all day. And Melissa, you got a lot of reaction from a lot of different people.
Yeah, a lot of takes on this one. So what's on the table right now, Bakari and Lena, is a downsized version of an original proposal that we heard from city staffers. That original one would see these priority transit lanes along Bathurst, which is where I am right now, from Lakeshore all the way north to Eglinton. And then on Dufferin, from Dufferin Gate all the way up to Eglinton as well. Well, that has since been trimmed down because there's been a lot of pushback to that original plan. Now, the suggestion is putting these priority transit lanes only south of Bloor. So the plan for Bloor all the way north to Eglinton, that's being scrapped. We were talking with community leaders here. There's a group that's been formed called Protect Bathurst to push back against this specific plan about these transit priority lanes, saying that it would negatively affect businesses here. Residents, they've also saying that they don't want to see it either. We were talking with a business owner who is part of this group. I want to share some of his take. Have a listen.
The red lanes mean no parking, stopping, loading, or deliveries, essentially no access to the curb. And curb access goes beyond just rapid transit. It's the difference between unloading groceries at my front door, welcoming customers to the store, seniors using medical facilities, or places of worship being able to offer weddings, funerals, or services in general. So the businesses and residents have different concerns, but they're all valid.
So what about this kind of compromise plan that's now taking shape? Does he think that's okay? He says no, that is still going to negatively affect businesses. He does not want to see it put in place either. And that's why his group, some other community leaders, they're headed to City Hall next week to actually make sure that city councillors are hearing their side on all of this. Now, there's also another group that wants to see these priority transit lanes go into effect as originally planned. TTC Riders, that's an advocacy group for transit riders in our city, and they say they are disappointed about this new proposed plan. Have a listen.
Transit users have been waiting for 6 years for a lot of these lanes to be implemented. So if Bathurst south of Bloor happens, Dufferin south of Bloor happens, we will celebrate and applaud that. However, 40,000 people use the Dufferin line every day. It's one of the most maligned lines in the city. It has the nickname Sufferin 29 for a reason. And people have been waiting for this, not only just up to Eglinton, but up to Wilson as well. So we really hope that at executive or council that they commit to clear timelines for the full implementation of Rapid TO.
Something to note here, one of the reasons why we're talking about transit priority lanes is it was an idea brought forward ahead of FIFA World Cup next year. So this would help transport people around as we're expecting an influx into the city for those 6 games. Something else to mention, this is not a done deal just yet, Lita and Bakari. We're expecting this amended proposed plan to head to the city's executive committee next week. And then after that, it would head to city council. Back to you.
Reporting live for us tonight, Melissa, thanks so much. Staying on the roadways, the city says the Parkside Drive speed camera will be reinstalled once again. This after it was vandalized for a 6th time.
Yeah, this comes only a week after a new camera was installed to catch speeders on the road next to High Park. A police surveillance camera was also installed at the same time to try and deter vandals. CP24 talked to some concerned community members about the busy roadway today.
It does surprise us that there hasn't been more attention given to trying to identify the people who are doing it. It's not very many people, a couple of guys with some tools. But it does surprise us that although the camera's been replaced 6 times, the bad guys haven't been apprehended.
It's a little ridiculous. I mean, it's kind of insane that they haven't found anybody at this point. So hopefully with the camera up there, but I mean, it's not slowing anybody down. It's slowing a very small portion of people down. And I wish the city would do more. I wish the police would do more to actually keep people safe on Parkside.
It's too bad that it happens. It's really, I guess the vandalism and them allowing to get away with it is not good. You know, I mean, you want to speed. There's road race places out in the country and go do that. But no, it's just too dangerous here, especially when they put the lights in back there for cyclists and pedestrians. A lot of them are just kind of looking and going sort of thing, and that. It's all it needs is one bad accident, so.
And there have been bad accidents here.
There's been some bad accidents here, so yeah, for that little stretch just to get you down at the end of the road shouldn't be speeding, but worse than speeding is stealing a speed camera.
Well, police haven't released any footage or information regarding the vandalism, at least just yet.
You can hear how frustrated those residents are. It's 5:18, 27 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Up ahead, why Metrolinx is apologizing for using artificial intelligence, AI, to respond to a customer complaint. Metrolinx is apologizing for using artificial intelligence to respond to a customer complaint about Go service from Rogers Stadium after Monday's Coldplay concert.
Let's bring in CP24's Lindsay Biscaya for more on what was said and what the reaction to that response has been like today. Let's just say it was less than sensitive, Lindsay.
Less than sensitive, maybe less than ideal for the person who was complaining. So basically, the backstory here is that someone who went to this Coldplay concert on Monday had to head north back toward Barrie. We know that Go Transit has added about 3 additional trains on the southbound Barrie line, but the last northbound train leaves at 11:30 at night. And so this person posted on social media and tagged Go Transit saying that they had to leave the concert early to catch that last northbound train. And then this is the response. We'll pull it up here so you can read it yourself from Go Transit. And it says, in part, it starts off by saying, it sounds like Ange had a dramatic dash to catch that last northbound train. Here's the response, and then it goes on to talk about, how you can check for schedules and check for different chains, and it ends up by saying you can go visit our website for more schedules. So obviously, if you read this whole response, it goes on about schedules and different trains and how you should maybe check before heading out, but it never actually addresses the problem here. And there's also some grammatical errors as well. So we've spoken with our tech expert, Carmi Levy, about this, and he says those are dead giveaways, that this was not a real person who wrote this and it was AI generated instead. Here's more on what he had to say.
Anyone who's ever used ChatGPT or another chatbot to write for them knows it isn't in your voice, and sometimes it gets the context wrong or the phrasing isn't quite there. It might feel very generic or vague, or sometimes the tone is just really inappropriate, and that's what seems to have been the case here. And clearly there was no final check. No human actually looked at it before clicking the publish button and said, maybe we shouldn't be sharing this.
In a statement to CTV News, Metrolinx has said that all of its own social media accounts are run by Metrolinx employees, but it says the Go Transit account does have a contractor that generates with AI, and so that's where this response comes from. It has apologized and has since deleted that tweet. But it's important to note as well, we have also reached out to Metrolinx because obviously the root of this complaint was never actually addressed. So we have reached out to Metrolinx to see if they plan on adding additional northbound trains as well, and we have not heard back yet. Back to you.
All right.
Lindsay Biscaya live in the newsroom. Thanks so much for this, Lindsay. Well, the opposition is speaking out against the province's decision to take over 4 school boards.
The education minister made the move last month, citing ongoing cases of financial mismanagement and failure of, quote, ensuring student success. So the 4 boards include the TDSB and TCDSB. NDP leader Marit Stiles says that the Ford government is to blame for problems in the classroom.
Instead of focusing on the future of our schools and what's best for students, the Minister of Education is forcing through a political power grab that shuts out parents' voices from their kids' classrooms. After cutting education funding by $1,500 per student, Doug Ford is using his own underfunding to justify a political power grab. And now local schools are being run by inexperienced political insiders.
The government says supervisors will be assigned to each board to address financial issues.
While kids are in the middle of summer break, many students who rely on food banks and school programs, they're missing meals.
Yeah, Food Banks Canada estimates roughly 1 in 3 people who rely on food banks are children. This summer, Food Banks Canada is aiming to share 215,000 healthy food packs in more than 250 communities across every province and territory to help fill that gap. And Food Banks Canada says without this program, nearly 700,000 children in the country would go hungry.
And Food Banks Canada says that it continues to work towards its goal of reducing hunger by 50% by the year 2030.
It's now 5:24, 27 degrees out there. You're watching Live at 5.
Paul McCartney's coming to Hamilton. The former Beatle is set to open the newly renovated TD Coliseum this November. We're going to have more on this next.
Sir Paul McCartney is coming to Hamilton this fall.
McCartney's going to take the stage November 21st, marking the grand opening of the newly transformed TD Coliseum. The show is part of McCartney's Got Back tour. Tickets go on sale to the public July 18th. Organizers say that they are working with Metrolinx to make sure that concert goers get home safely from the concert.
It's pretty impressive that they could get somebody like Paul McCartney to do something like that, a big grand opening. I think for a lot of people in the area, it'll always be Cops Coliseum, but it's nice to see businesses investing in kind of the downtown area and Hamilton staples. It's nice to see.
I'm truly not a fan, but, you know, I'm sure there's going to be more people coming in to see it. And it's good to see the downtown core kind of get back to being active again.
This is going to draw huge crowds. The Hamilton show will be McCartney's only Ontario stop on the 2025 leg of the tour. The 83-year-old is also set to play November 17th and 18th at Montreal's Bell Centre.
Right now it's 5:28, 27 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Well, 2 Orange Air ambulances serving Toronto are temporarily out of service due to supply chain issues caused in part by U.S. tariffs. We'll explain coming up.
A first-degree murder charge after the fatal stabbing of a 14-year-old in Leslieville. The suspect, only 16 years old. We're going to check in with our crime analyst in moments.
And caught on camera, a motorcycle spotted going over 200 kilometers an hour while weaving in and out of traffic on highways in York region. We'll show you more of this shocking video.
And 2 Orange Air ambulances serving Toronto, they're temporarily out of service. It may have something to do with the trade war. We'll explain.
Plus, oops, Metrolinx apologizing after AI was used to respond to a frustrated transit rider after Monday's Coldplay concert. We'll show you the response that's been making the rounds on social media.
This is Live at 5.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Lena Latafat.
I'm Bakari Savage. The 2 Orange Air ambulances serving the city, they're temporarily out of service. The reason why, well, it's a little bit more complicated than one might think.
Yeah, let's go live to CP24's Sija Liu tonight near Billy Bishop Airport for more on what's happening and why the aircraft are being sidelined. Sija.
That's right, Lena Bakari. The issue of why these aircrafts are being sidelined is complicated. It's a mix of different global issues that does stem from the trade war with the U.S. as well as the war in Ukraine. But as for the service disruptions, we're going to see 2 of Orange's air helicopters that operate in Toronto will be out of service this weekend. One is down until Sunday. The other can't fly until next Friday. And these helicopters are vital when it comes to transporting patients in critical conditions condition from accidents, from certain situations, as well as transporting patients between the hospital. Now, the reason for these the planes being stuck on the ground is because of maintenance delays. A source tells CTV Toronto the aircrafts are down because of maintenance delays that are driven in part by U.S. tariffs and the war in Ukraine. In a letter to staff, Orange's chief aviation officer explained the service has been dealing with unusually high demand for maintenance across its fleet of AW139 helicopters. These are the 12 helicopters that Orange uses. It says that global supply chain issues have made things worse, which is causing significant delays in getting the parts that are needed to get the aircrafts flying again. And the manufacturers, well, they're blaming the disruptions on raw material shortages tied to the tariffs and the ongoing war. And we spoke to aviation expert Phil Dirty about the maintenance that usually takes place with these helicopters. Take a listen.
When the aircraft does go into maintenance, it's usually pre-planned for a heavy, what we call a heavy check, which is a big inspection. And what they'll do is they will order in parts beforehand so that everything's ready for that downtime of the aircraft so they can get it fixed. Sometimes there are issues getting parts from the manufacturer, like for instance, Leonardo. They do provide a lot of support to the operators, but at some points in time, there is a bit of shortage of parts where they have to go and outsource the acquisition of these parts, and it does impact the maintenance schedules.
And in a statement to us, Orange says during this time period, Orange will activate the contingency plans in our deployment plan. This involves dispatching helicopters from other bases, supported by additional Orange land ambulance resources in Toronto. We also remain in regular contact with our helicopter manufacturer to ensure parts are delivered in as timely a fashion as possible and to mitigate any delays. Now, there are other helicopters across the province. They're stationed in London, Sudbury, and Ottawa. And with these contingency plans, you can expect some of those helicopters to get some extra use over this weekend when the Toronto planes are down. We'll send it back to you for now.
All right. Sija Liu, live by Billy Bishop. Thanks so much, Sija. Now to one of our top stories. An arrest has been made in the fatal stabbing of a 14-year-old boy at a McDonald's at Coxwell and Eastern. The suspect, also a minor.
Well, the 16-year-old now faces a first-degree murder charge. Let's go live to CP24's crime analyst, Steve Ryan. Steve.
Yeah, McCartney, some very good work done by Toronto's homicide squad to identify and have a young person in custody within 48 hours of this homicide from occurring. So please tell us that it was July the 5th, 10 p.m. at this location where we are right now. A boy, 14 years old, was stabbed multiple times. He died as a result of his injuries, and the police are actively looking for a suspect. Well, we heard today through a press release that the Toronto police have arrested a 16-year-old and charged that 16-year-old with one count of a first-degree murder. What separates first-degree murder from second-degree murder most often is just planning and deliberation. We're showing you the picture of this 14-year-old right now. So this 16-year-old is now facing one count of the most serious charge on the books, which clearly suggests that there was some planning and deliberation. Hence, you've got the first-degree murder charge being laid. Now, we don't know the motive. We don't know whether or not the accused and the deceased knew one another or not, nor do we know if this was a random attack or targeted. But we do know that the police now have one person in custody. The police were appealing to witnesses earlier on this week when this first happened. They said that there were hundreds of people around this area during a celebration that was taking place, so most likely they got a lot of cooperation from witnesses as well, but it was some very good police work. Arrangements were made, and the 16-year-old surrendered to the Toronto police on July the 7th, now facing one count of first-degree murder. Send it back to you guys.
All right, Steve Ryan reporting for us. Thanks so much for this, Steve. A warning to viewers now about this next story. The details are disturbing. A 17-year-old boy has been arrested and charged with attempted murder and sexual assault with a weapon after an 8-year-old girl was attacked in Eastern Ontario 2 weeks ago.
OPP say that the charges are tied to a missing child report June 23rd in Quadville. The girl was found early the next day with what paramedics are calling life-threatening traumatic injuries. Investigators initially thought that her injuries might have been from an animal attack.
And Bill Dixon is the media relations coordinator for the OPP East region. He's describing the girl's injuries as horrible.
The victim is still in hospital. She is still recovering her condition, well, our medical information is an hours to release, but my understanding is she is doing okay at this time. In terms of the 17-year-old, he remains in custody. He had a brief bail hearing yesterday, remains in custody. More court appearances will be taking place. But just because one person's been arrested doesn't mean that the investigation's over. Our officers remain on the ground in Quadville, talking to residents, looking for any witnesses who may still have information that can shed some light on what happened, why it happened, how it happened.
And the child was taken to a children's hospital in Ottawa. This is where she was listed in serious but stable condition as of last week.
Peel police say a 5-time repeat offender is facing impaired driving charges yet again after a 4-vehicle collision in Brampton last weekend.
It happened at Highway 50 and Coleraine Drive. 3 people were taken to hospital while a 21-year-old man is still in critical condition. Police say that he is likely to have long-term life-altering injuries. 58-year-old Kushal Kasiram of Mississauga was also on 3 separate lifetime driving prohibitions at the time of the collision.
Statistics tell us that an individual is oftentimes driving impaired in upwards of dozens of occasions before being caught. And in this case, we've got someone who has been charged and convicted 5 prior times from 1996 to most recently 2015. He's also been charged and convicted for driving while disqualified. So clearly there isn't any driving prohibition that's actually going to keep this menace off the roadway. And it begs the question that I'm sure we're all asking, is it going to take someone being killed before this man is put away?
Police say Kasiram has been released on bail again on conditions not to drive.
Well, speaking of the roads, shocking video released by York Police. This shows an extreme speeder on GTA highways.
Speed's in the area of 170 right now. Based on the driving and how he's passing vehicles, we've got grounds for dangerous, I believe.
A York police helicopter capturing what investigators say is a motorcyclist clocked going over 200 kilometers an hour on Highway 404 at Bloomington Road and on Highway 407. The driver can be seen splitting lanes of traffic and also running a red light. Police say the driver eventually left the bike at a business in Mississauga and then took a ride-share vehicle to a home in Richmond Hill. That is where an arrest was made. 37-year-old Amir Hassan Monferret is charged with dangerous operation, stunt driving, and driving without insurance.
Well, a truck fire snarled traffic on the 401 in Durham this afternoon. It happened in the eastbound lanes just east of Salem Road in Ajax. Chopper 24 was over the scene as firefighters made sure that the fire was completely extinguished. It destroyed the cab of the trailer, and there were no injuries.
540, 27 degrees. This is Live at 5.
And we're live along Bathurst. This is where a plan for dedicated transit lanes could be scaled back. We're going to have reaction coming up. Well, city staff are recommending a plan for dedicated transit lanes on Bathurst and Dufferin Streets be scaled back.
CP24's Melissa Duggan is live along Bathurst getting reaction to this proposal. Melissa.
Lena, Bakari, some vocal public pushback has led to some changes in plans to bring priority transit lanes to Bathurst, where I'm right now, and to Dufferin Streets. Originally, the plan to have them stretch northbound and southbound from way south. We're talking Lakeshore along Bathurst, all the way up to Eglinton in both cases for both streets. Well, now that's set to be scaled back according to a proposed plan that will see these priority lanes north of Bloor to Eglinton not part of the equation anymore. So just looking at south of Bloor at this point. But there is some disappointment being expressed by one group in particular about this downsize plan coming from TTC Riders, an advocacy group for transit riders in the city. Here's some of that, what we're getting from TTC Riders Executive Director.
Transit users want these lanes. There were public consultations that were done for these lanes in the lead up to this meeting, and support for them was overwhelming. We have over 1,000 people who have signed a petition in favor of these lanes, and we have people ready to speak in favor for them at executive as well. So keep having those conversations and keep listening to the needs of transit users, because there's a lot of us.
Okay, so another side of the debate I want to share with you, that is that public pushback I was mentioning earlier. There's actually a group that's formed just to push back against this plan that came from city staffers earlier for these transit routes that would be stretching the full length of both of these streets. They are called Protect Bathurst, and they say that bringing these priority transit lanes to this stretch in particular would have a negative effect for businesses, for residents as well, saying that parking spots would be lost, that delivery areas, they wouldn't be around either, and that there would be added congestion. And when you're looking at the busy section along Bathurst where I am right now, imagine fewer lanes of traffic being available to vehicles. Well, that's something that they're pointing out. But what about this smaller scale plan for these priority transit routes? Well, they say that's still not a go for them either. I want to share more of what we're hearing from one of the leaders of this group, a business owner along Bathurst. Have a listen.
Our issue has been data since the beginning. There's been a lack of robust evidence that's provided that this will be beneficial for this street. So nothing's really changed in my mind, whether it is for North of Blue or not. Proper evidence hasn't been provided that shows that these are going to be beneficial changes for the city. And until that happens, I can't say that I agree with what's happening.
Yeah, so this compromise plan is something that people are calling it still not ideal for this group, Protect Bathurst. So they're going to bring their continued message to City Hall. They're planning to have a news conference there next week. Also at City Hall, this amended proposal, it's going to be going to the city's executive committee before that then heads to City Council eventually. And Lena and Bakari, one reason why we're hearing about this proposal for these priority transit lanes, it was initially brought up part of a plan to get people moving ahead of the World Cup, which of course is coming to the city next year. Back to you.
Okay, reporting live, CP24's Melissa Duggan. Melissa, thank you. It's now 5:46, 27 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Still to come, why Metrolinx is apologizing for using artificial intelligence to respond to a customer complaint. We'll tell you what the company said. Welcome back. Metrolinx is apologizing for using artificial intelligence to respond to a customer complaint about Go service from Rogers Stadium after Monday's Coldplay concert.
Okay, let's go live to CP24's Lindsay Biscaya. So, Lindsay, the response was a bit snarky, but we just looked at some corporate accounts that had snarky responses to other people. These were run by people, not AI.
Well, yeah, I mean, in this case, Bakari and Lena, we're talking about Metrolinx, the Go Transit response online, which I guess you could say it was snarky, but for the most part, it just kind of missed the point when it comes to the complaint that this person was making. So we'll back up a little bit. This person posted on social media after attending that concert on Monday, basically saying they were trying to head back north on the northbound line, the Barrie line, to get home after the concert, and they had to leave early to catch the last train because Go Transit has added, I think, 3 additional trains on the southbound line, but just the one on the northbound line. And so, you know, those trains end earlier. So that was really the complaint, is that to catch that last train out, this person had to miss the last of the Coldplay concert. Now, here's the response from Metrolinx that we have been sharing today. This is Go Transit tweeting this in response. It says, in part, sounds like Ange had a dramatic dash to catch that last northbound train at 11:13. That's cutting it close. Go Transit's evening schedules can vary depending on the line and day, but it's always smart to check the latest train times before heading out. And then it ends by saying, you go visit our website for more schedules. So it doesn't make sense really grammatically. And it also, as I mentioned, misses the point and doesn't actually address the complaint there, because I think the person did check that last train and knew that they had to leave the concert early to be able to catch that last train. So we've been speaking with tech expert Carmi Levy today, and he said, you know, everything you see in that comment really shows that this was AI generated, not from an actual employee, a human employee. And he talked about the fact that many organizations are using AI these days, of course, but there are ways to do it properly. Take a listen.
We're not going to not use AI at this point. In fact, anyone who is a member of the workforce knows we're all probably using it to a certain degree, but it's the human who still controls it. And in fact, if you're going to use it in a public-facing venue like this, you got to be transparent about it. You have to make it clear, how, what is being used, how it's being used, in what context. And if you try to pass off artificial or machine-generated copy as human-generated copy, you're going to get bitten. And that's clearly what happens in this case. As long as you're honest about it, I think most of us realize we live in the age of AI. At some point, it's going to get added to our toolkits.
So Metrolinx has, of course, since deleted that post and apologized. And we have been reaching out today, Lena and Bakari, to see if the root of the issue, whether Metrolinx is going to add more northbound trains on the Barrie line. And we did get a response actually just this hour. Metrolinx says it's not going to be adding any more trains on the northbound line because most of the demand is heading south from the Rogers Stadium. Back to you.
Okay, so now they've actually answered the question.
Yes.
Okay, Lindsay, thanks so much. 5:52, 27 degrees. You're watching Live at 5.
Paul McCartney's coming to Hamilton. The former Beatle is set to open the newly renovated TD Coliseum this November. More on this next.
Welcome back. Sir Paul McCartney is coming to Hamilton this fall.
McCartney's going to take the stage November 21st, marking the grand opening of the newly transformed TD Coliseum. So the show is part of McCartney's Got Back tour. And tickets go on sale to the public July 18th. Organizers say that they're working with Metrolinx to make sure that concert goers get home safely.
So it will be exciting to see the downtown core kind of be active again.
I think it might be a little easier to get to this one, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. This parking open too, right? So I want more people to come to Hamilton, bring the city back to life.
It's pretty cool. It's very interesting that somebody with Paul McCartney's career would kind of consider coming down to this area as opposed to lots of bigger coliseums or stadiums. It's not somebody I would personally see, but I can definitely see the appeal to lots of other people.
And for more on Paul McCartney coming to Hamilton, we're joined live by Chum 104.5 host Josie Dye. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us. Look, this is going to be huge. What do you think this is going to mean to fans?
Oh, I'm sure fans are so excited. It's been so long since Paul McCartney has been here. Now, this tour started back in 2022. Everyone was waiting for a North American leg, and now he is doing 3 Canadian shows. So 2 of them will be in Montreal, and 1 in, of course, as you mentioned, Hamilton, TD's Coliseum, where everyone's really excited to see what it's going to look like. It's obviously renovated. Paul McCartney is going to be the first person to play this renovated stadium. And for Hamilton, Hamilton people, they should be super excited because Torontonians, we feel a little sad over here.
Okay, so Josie, we're talking about hit songs like Hey Jude, Live and Let Die, Band on the Run, Let It Be. What do you think fans can expect from the Got Back tour, which tickets go on sale next week?
Yeah, they come back. The tour is July 18th. Tickets go on sale. I know everyone wants to know that. And the pre-sale is going to happen on Tuesday. So there will be some passwords and codes that will come out for the pre-sale. I know my mom is a diehard Beatles fan. I'm a diehard Beatles fan. My mom's British, and Paul is everything to her. Everything. So I'm saying, she doesn't go to very many concerts anymore. This is one concert she will do anything to go to. And that's what's so great about Paul McCartney. Every single person who is there is absolutely a diehard fan. And I hope they'll all be able to get these tickets because, obviously he's not young anymore and we don't know how many times he will be back here to Hamilton or Toronto.
Yeah, there's going to be so many different generations taking this in. It's going to mean so much to so many. Let's switch gears for a moment here, if we can, Josie. Justin Bieber, a lot of fans wondering, is he all right? How's his mental health? And as fans speculate, we're now learning the superstar is out with new music. What can you tell us about that?
So we got word today that the rumor's flying, and I think it's been confirmed now that Justin Bieber has posted on his Instagram billboards that have been put in major cities across North America and one billboard in Iceland with lyrics and actually song tracks up there. So the rumor is the album comes out at midnight tonight. Oh. Yes, a brand new album called Swag. It's super exciting. It's been 5 years since Bieber has had an album. This will be the 7th album for Justin Bieber. Maybe we will see his genius play out tomorrow and everyone will finally settle down and stop asking if he's okay and just realize that he was in creative mode.
All right, Sean 104.5, Josie Dye. Josie, we're going to be chatting with you again tomorrow for a closer look, another look, more depth at pop culture.
Thanks so much. Thanks, guys.
It's now 5:59, 27 degrees. You're watching Toronto's Breaking News, CP24.
Thank you for watching. CTV News at 6 is next.